I'm a contributor to Lido DAO for 4+ years. I might have shuffled a couple of months there from Lido and Polygon, but getting too old, and it's quite a bit in terms of crypto. So yeah, now I'm contributing in terms of Lido Earn for strategy and partnerships. I will drive you a bit through the Vault's opportunity and what's going on the market today. And we'll pick up with some key points towards the end. Then we will leave some Q&A because I know you will have questions over these topics because it's quite spicy, given it can have various implications, not only to Lido DAO, but also to the assets and the funds that are in the vaults. So to kick it off, DeFi promised yield for everyone. We managed to build the most open financial system on the planet, but in reality, it's not very open because not everyone can use it, at least not in today's shape. Vaults actually deliver that. Current situation with DeFi itself, it's too complex, right? So you have multiple L1s, you have L2s, you have even L3s for folks that are having fun. Then you have bridges, which are beasts of their own. And it all kind of requires you to be your own quant to extract something from DeFi. And if you're not a quant, which I don't think most of us in here are, but we did deep dive into DeFi here and there, it's really hard to optimize the returns by participating. But it exposes us to huge risks. What I mean with risks is even like you try to add custom RPC, you get pushed something to sign that you don't know what you're signing, funds gone. You put it in bad protocols with bad collaterals, money gone. It's pretty risky situation for someone who's just starting. So please, for this presentation, don't look it from your perspective as DeFi OGs. Consider we need to onboard next billion users to the open financial system on the internet. It's also too fragmented. I started with L1s, L2s, and the bridges. Now imagine having canonical bridges for most of chains and then third-party bridges. There are 5 third-party bridges, and each of them have same tokens which represent assets, but to simplify, USDC. But when you transfer funds from one to the other, you eat slippage. Probably sometimes there's no liquidity, and even aggregators can help you. So it's all very chaotic. So this kind of drives us towards the opportunity of the vaults. DeFi today, $93 billion TVL. Peanuts in TradFi, but pretty huge in terms of crypto. And this is with compressed price of ETH, by the way, ETH to 10K. An average depositor in DeFi essentially farms any coincidence with staking yield, non-intentional, but they usually end up with roughly 2 to 2.5% because it's what you can get from staking or what you can get from lending, and you're idling. But you deposited because there was some sort of spike, there were some incentives, and you forget. And that's massively missed opportunity, and that's where the vaults actually can double the effectiveness or even increase it further. But what does retail need from essentially the vaults? They want one-click experiences. They don't want to know about multiple interfaces. They don't want to know about smart contracts and how it works. They just want to deposit funds, and they want to take out their rewards. Now, institutions want compliance, they want transparency, and they want it to be auditable, which all of that vaults can deliver. And partners, like I worked in DeFi as a BD, but it was a product, it was analytic, it was a lot of stuff back in the day. You have a product, then you need to integrate Aave, Morpho, then on staking, I don't know, EtherFi, Lido, then you need to do a DEX, a Curve, a Uniswap. Too much to deal with. Why wouldn't you just expose yourself to a single vault which gives you direct interaction with all of DeFi? So what's actually a vault? Because everyone and their mothers today are building vaults. So you heard this so many times, vaults, vaults, vaults. And you will have one more vault after this talk. But that one is good because it's ours. So it's just a set of smart contracts, right? It gives you a moat around specific interactions on chain. It empowers operators of the vault to have fast recurring actions. Meanwhile, they're protected against third-party attacks. It doesn't remove the risk fully, but it minimizes it significantly compared to if you're doing these interactions yourself. It also protects you from fast deleverage if you don't understand what you're doing, because in that case, if you're flash loaning, you will lose principal. So that's the primary thing. Then what vaults need to offer you is risk isolation. And what I mean here in risk isolation, given the nature of vaults, it can build segregated pipelines for specific strategies. So when you're picturing something, picture yourself having cargo pants, and if something goes wrong, you lose one pocket, but you keep the pants. And that in this industry is very, very important. Like, it's a bad thing if you lose the pants. It means you start from zero and you need to build up your positions. And then ultimately, optimized APY. We spoke just a little bit before about it, but it's not guaranteeing you high returns. It's blue chip DeFi, but it smoothens the curve. So when you would potentially lose from rewards being stopped, actively managed vaults mean curators pull the funds from this and put it somewhere else where it's risk adjusted to make sure you have continuous smooth reward curve. Why vaults will actually win? So this is my strong opinion. They're very composable. So built on ERC 4626, it's like any engineer can pull it within the core product, or it can just be endpoint connection to it. It's super simple, super safe. I can't say safe. As safe as it gets. Legal, losing hair there. So it's also like, in terms of usage, it's very, very, very simple. Even for B2B integrators, like it's just a pipeline and someone else takes over the assets and manages what happens with them on-chain. So it's abstracting also difficulties of Web2 companies to start interacting with blockchain. Right? They don't need Solidity engineers. They don't need to understand the complexities. What they want to know is it's as safe as it gets and it's properly taken care of. Also important part is for vaults to be verifiable. So with current generation of vaults, it's all on-chain. It's non-custodial, it's on-chain, it's auditable. So you can even build your own reporting mechanics, alert bots. You can monitor any essentially vault on-chain that Lido has and replicate the strategies yourself if you are an advanced user. So with all this said, billions are in vaults. Instadap started this very, very long time ago. Many of you think actually Veda kickstarted this, but it was Instadap who had huge TVL in vaults. Then Veda made a boom, a big splash. We continue to utilize this trend, and the billions are there. Primitive is proven, it works. But in my mind, it's not competition in TVL, right? In my mind, it's competition who builds it better. So what that result is, Lido Earn. Our new motion, we are very engaged with this set of products, and it's how we call one-click access to blue chip DeFi. This number of 200 million changes constantly. So when we launched, it was 250 million. Then we had withdrawals, but total volume is over $500 million. ETH price affected it a lot, but we have a legacy vault which predates all Lido Earn, which sent assets to Lido, but ensured incentives for utilizing distributed validated technology is utilized. And from there, we slowly kind of adopted DeFi ourselves, because Lido is very conservative. Lido DAO contributors are very conservative. If there's a slight security flag, we don't engage. So since launch, it was September when GGV launched, huge TVL, then shortly after, mellow strategy. One thing led to another. We did do some mistakes. I will not hide behind it. We did do mistakes, but we learned a lot. And out of those mistakes, and because we learned a lot, we remodeled the whole concept. Now we offer very simple approach through Earn ETH and Earn USD, but it utilizes a MetaVault architecture, which I will explain shortly after. What I want to do here, without making it very salesy and sleazy, is I want to tell you what makes us different. You trust Lido brand because of historical security track record, and because you have faces to our names, we always hold up to our word. Now we took it a step forward. First vaults on-chain in history that have sizable skin in the game, meaning $5 million first loss protection covered by the DAO treasury. What it means, if someone makes a mistake, there's a loss, it will be covered by these funds. So stream finance type of situation where MEV capital haircuts everyone, it doesn't happen here. And again, remember the cargo pants. Same situation. It's very, very unlikely that the whole vault gets an impact. It's always one of the isolated strategies, which in the end has this coverage. It's the simplest products out there now, not if you take a stab at me for upgrading the old tokens, but if you are a new user, it's very simple. You deposit, as soon as you deposit, you are generating essentially yield. You don't need to claim the tokens. If they are still in the vault, it's fine. You're covered. And we are transparent by design. In this segment, this is the thing that I'm the most proud of. We don't fake numbers. Now I'm taking a stab at competitors. Like, I won't name anyone, but we do real numbers. So we don't have hard-coded APYs. We are effectively transparent. You can calculate actual returns. What you see is what you get. We don't overpromise, but we will overdeliver. So back to the architecture that I discussed. So with our learnings, we figured out there needs to be a mechanism which sits between vaults and between the curators. Curators usually have incentives to find more customers, and then they kind of put you in the same position as you're idling with your own assets. Here, Lido contributors are operating the Meta Vault, which distributes funds to sub-vaults. So in this case, on ETH, sub-vault 1 is GGV, and sub-vault 2 is strategy. Combined, they give you Earn ETH. In future, there will probably be more sub-vaults, but that depends on the market situation and on the opportunity. These vaults are deployable on any EVM, and it's quite straightforward to operate them at this point. How it works, for example, for the Earn USD, 80% of it is in very conservative strategy, where 20% is the yield driver for the users. But again, remember, first loss protection, pockets on our cargo pants, and that's how we manage to do better than our competitors. So they're curated, they have modular design, and on-chain accounting allows us to track everything. If I would give a shout out to a couple of projects, but without highlighting anyone, after the talk, I can give you connections to folks who can give you direct insight for private-owned dashboards. We provide our own dashboards, and it's all, again, on-chain. The integrations, docs.lido.fi/earn. And if you want to stay in touch with me, if you don't catch me after the call, I'm always on Telegram 24/7, usual crypto, or you can email me if you're more traditional and institutional.